Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Tammy, and 5 years ago, I did something that changed the entire trajectory of my life, and that was starting my small business. I was a college student studying graphic design, dealing with family financial issues, and facing an honestly abysmal job market. I knew deep down I wasn't cut out to be a great, magnificent graphic designer. It just wasn't in me. I knew I needed to do something else, and I trusted that intuition, and that led me here. I started a small business selling my handmade art. I made 6 figures before I even graduated college, and now I'm growing that same business that I started when I was 19 years old. Along the way, I learned so many things, but I've condensed it down to the main 5 things I learned in the 5 years of running my business. I haven't done a talking video in a while, so I apologize if this isn't the most coherent list in the world, but I hope this helps at least some of you who are on the same entrepreneurial, creative journey that I'm still on. So grab some tea, grab your coffee. I have my notes on my phone. Let's begin. The first lesson that I learned in my first year of starting my business was how to be delusional. You need to believe that something is gonna come out of your work. I remember sitting down and looking at my 50 followers that I gained in like a month, and I was like, this could be something big. You just have to think that way. And it feels so embarrassing for me to share that with you guys, but I really was just so delusional. And delusional is not necessarily a bad thing. I think some people feel that delusion is like lying to yourself or faking yourself. But really, what I mean by be delusional is to just believe in yourself. The way that you can trick your mind into thinking positively is to celebrate every single tiny win, no matter how small, because those tiny wins will keep you going through your journey. So I celebrated 10 followers, 50 followers, 500 followers, and now some people might scoff at that number, but as a person, you really just have to think like, if you're standing in a room and you have 50 people who are admiring your work, that's a lot of people. 50 people, 500 people. It grows exponentially. It only gets easier. The hardest part is starting, but also starting is so liberating. You'll experience what true creative freedom is if you just start a brand new account. You know, if something's not working, this is another thing I learned in my first year. Failure is your friend. If something's not working, just scrap it. Just start over because you haven't built anything anyway. Like, I remember I changed my username like at least 3 times. It was uncomfy.store, uncomfy shop, and then I landed on uncomfy studio, and that was my username for at least 2 or 3 years before I switched to uncomfy co. Like, I recognize that this might be the hardest part for someone is to start from zero. But because no one is watching, you can create like no one is watching. You can go into every creative curiosity that you have and explore what you're good at, explore what you like. And that's also how I found my style. So let me repeat this. You have to be delusional. You have to believe in yourself. Even if no one is watching, put on the persona that you are someone who is worth watching, that you have value to put into the world, that you have learned so many things in your life up until this point that you can now share those lessons and share your story, share your art with the world. And this doesn't relate to just art, but anyone who is opening a business, it's because you want to share something with the world. Whether it's your cooking, your writing, your videos, you have to believe in your craft. And when I look back on young Tammy, I'm so proud of her because wow, like some of my pieces back then were not that good. They were literally just blobs of white clay because that was all the skill that I had. But I put on this persona that, you know, I am a clay artist. I've been playing with clay since I was a kid. And even if I don't have all the technical skill of a true seasoned artist, I have something special still that is worth sharing with the world. So yeah, I get questions all the time, like how to not get discouraged when you're first starting. Really all about celebrating the small wins and using that childlike wonder and curiosity to drive you through your first year of posting and starting a business. And speaking of being delusional and trying things out, this year I decided to switch from handmade items items to manufactured products, and it's been really scary. To help me with this journey, I've been using Opera Air. The Opera Air browser amazed me with its design. It's simple, serene, and the interface is clutter-free. My favorite function is the boost feature, binaural beats and lo-fi music for increasing focus, relaxation, creativity. I noticed whenever I put on my headphones and put on one of their 20 plus soundscapes, I'm transported into a serene state of mind. I used the Focus one earlier this week when I was doing my taxes, and I noticed I wasn't stressed. I was locked in, but not in a high blood pressure energy drink kind of way. It was like I'm in my groove and everything will be okay type of way. Also built into Opera Air are these mindful breaks. These breaks consist of mindfulness exercises such as breathing, meditation, body scans, and neck stretches. You can set reminders to take a break every 45 to 180 minutes. And this icon here acts as a body battery, which tells you when you need to take a break. Also has these inspirational quotes displayed upon opening the browsers. It helps cultivate a positive mindset, and I love that so much. It's so cute. All of these experiences, the soundscapes, taking mindful breaks, positive affirmations, these are all rooted in science and established methodologies that ensure productivity and mindfulness, and I love it so much. Thank you, Opera, for sponsoring this video, and click on the link in the description to download Opera Air, the mindful browser. In my second year of running my business, I realized how important social media was. I mean, up until this point, even now, presently, social media is my only marketing strategy. I started posting on Instagram first, then TikTok, and then YouTube. But in 2022, I realized what I should post about, and that is me. People support people. And that's something that stuck with me every single day ever since I heard that phrase. Even though I was scared to show my face and shy to speak in front of the camera, something that helped me with that was actually starting a YouTube channel. YouTube forced me to put myself in front of a camera in the way that Instagram and TikTok never did. And if you look at my very first videos, you could tell I was so nervous. I couldn't enunciate. I couldn't speak loudly. It was just a mess, honestly, but you really just have to fight through the discomfort, create through the discomfort, and then slowly over time it gets easier. I will say I still sweat every single time I film myself. Some things just won't get easier, but a lot of things will get easier. The reason why I say to show yourself is because I just can't think of a better way for someone to connect with a business than to put a face to a business. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to show your face, but I do highly recommend it because once again, people support people. And that's what makes supporting a small business so special, because it's not just a product that you're getting. I think everyone is so sick of products being shoved in their faces, but you want to support the person behind it. If you don't want to show your face, at the bare minimum, share why you're starting your business. What made you want to start your business? What was the main catalyst? At what point in your life did you realize that you needed to pivot, that you needed to become an entrepreneur? So share your story and share it often. For example, at the beginning of every one of my YouTube videos, I always say, "Hi, my name's Tammy. I'm an artist and small business owner." Or I always say this too. "Hi, my name's Tammy. I go by Uncomfy because your girl's a little anxious." That little sentence is so small, but it's so important for people to grasp who I am as a person. Okay, this is Tammy. This is who I'm investing my time in. This is who I'm supporting. And that is something that you can do for every one of your videos as well. And I'm saying videos because videos are so important to growing a small business. If you're not comfortable sharing your face, that's okay. There are plenty of creators that I know who only do voiceovers. And I'd say second to the face, the voice is actually more important. If you can do a voiceover to share your story, that is just as effective as any visual is. And if you're not comfortable sharing your voice, be uncomfortable. That is like my whole mantra of Uncomfy is like, yes, I'm uncomfortable and I'm going to continue putting myself in uncomfortable situations and circumstances because I want to grow. And I want you guys to grow as well. So be uncomfy. Just embrace the uncomfy. Step outside of your comfort zone. Because if you truly believe in yourself, like, you have to believe in your voice too. In the third year of running my business, I really learned the lesson of discipline. How to be disciplined and how to stick with your business even when life itself is so busy. So 2023 was the year that I made the most amount of handmade products in my life, and it was also my final year of college, so it was my thesis year. This is what it looked like for me. Like, this was my schoolwork and this was my small business. In between all of my thesis work and my actual small business work, I started posting on YouTube more regularly at this point. So it was making Instagram reels, TikTok videos, sculpting my orders, packing, shipping those orders, filming YouTube videos, editing those YouTube videos. I was doing all of that myself. I look back on that year, I can't believe I did all of that. This point in my life could have easily been my breaking point. I was definitely not getting enough sleep. I was definitely not having a healthy social life, but at the same time, I was so happy that my business was growing, that my soul was thriving. During this period of intense work, you have to pick and choose. I feel like the sentiment isn't said enough, but you can't have everything. Like, some people can, but honestly, realistically, you can't have straight A's and do all of these extracurriculars while running a business. For me, doing graphic design, I didn't really want straight A's. I didn't need straight A's. I knew I wasn't going to grad school. So I decided to focus more of my energy on my small business. I'm not saying to drop out of school or anything, because I still graduated. I'm saying pick and choose your battles. Do you want straight A's or do you want to grow your small business? I aimed for B's and C's, and I was more focused on growing Uncomfy because this is what I wanted to do for a living. I didn't want to work for someone else. So why would I put more energy into crafting the skills to work for someone else when I could be delegating more of my energy to creating my own business? You have such a finite amount of time in your day. You only have so much time, so much energy. Pick and choose which buckets you want to fill, because the plant that you water is the one that's going to grow. I had to make a lot of sacrifices during this time that I don't regret, but I did have to sacrifice a lot of my social life. I didn't really put any energy into making new friends in college. I didn't put energy into extracurriculars or being part of my school community. I spent a lot of time alone at this point, just working for myself, and I don't regret it, but that is a sacrifice that I had to make. So that's how I was able to stay disciplined. Another way to stay disciplined is to think of it as self-love. I would always think, like, what would future Tammy do? What would future Tammy want? And future Tammy wanted to live on her own in a nice apartment, and I really, really worked my butt off to achieve that. Another time management thing that worked for me was I would dedicate entire days to just schoolwork and then entire days to just my business, so that I wasn't context switching so much, and that made me much more efficient and much more productive. I had to choose between focusing on a more traditional career path and putting my energy into cultivating the skills for that, or cultivating my business. At this point, my small business felt more stable than an actual job, so it was an easy choice for me. But I also knew that I wanted my degree, so I still had to do my schoolwork and still do good in school, and I just had to submit to the fact that it would be a hard year. In year 4, I finally graduated college, I got my degree, and now it was my first year post-grad as a full-time self-employed artist. The lesson that I learned this year was that it's okay to change. I made so many changes this year. For one, I finally started asking for help. It was the first year where I asked my friends to come help me pack orders. I even got my parents to help me pack orders with me, and that was my first time asking for help, which is kind of crazy to say. I even had my friend Bella help roll balls of clay for me, and I paid her an hourly wage for all the things that she helped me make. That was a huge change for me because I sincerely thought that I could do everything myself, but as my audience grew, the demand grew, and suddenly I had so much weight on my shoulders. Like, what a blessing it is to have such high demand for my art, but also it felt crippling because I couldn't please everyone. It's this feeling of like, no matter how hard I work, no matter how hard I try, no matter how many all-nighters I do, it was never enough. I was getting so many emails of people being disappointed that they couldn't get my art, that I was not making enough. It was this repeated feeling of like, I'm not enough. 2024, I was like, things need to change. I need to get some of this work off of my shoulders. I had also worked myself so hard in 2023 that I had barely anything left to give. So I ended up taking 3 months off from making handmade art in the beginning of 2024. And at the end, I also took a break and I I'm still on that break now because even with all of the additional help that I finally got, I still needed that break. And that's okay. In all of my years of running my business, I had never taken a break that long from sculpting. Taking those breaks though helped me so much with re-evaluating my goals for my business. You know, in one of my first YouTube videos ever, I posted that my goal for Uncomfy was to become something like Shopzoki or Tiny Protectors, you know, a novel gift shop where my designs become cute lamps or rugs or plushies or just these amazing home decor items that are accessible, that aren't at a crazy high price point because they're not handmade anymore. That's always been my goal. And for years and years, I neglected that because polymer clay was just so much easier for me. Not easier, but it was just something that I was comfortable with. I realized that I wasn't growing because I kept going back to polymer clay. You know, some people are super content with making only handmade art, but for me, it wasn't something that I had intended from the beginning. I had put myself in this position because I was so unwilling to change for the first couple of years of my business. I'm super proud of myself because last year I took the leap of faith and started manufacturing my very first plushie based on my clay character, Maxine the Goldfish, and it worked out. She sold out twice in both of the drops, and now I'm currently working on another huge batch of plushies and other products, and it's really hard to go through this transition, but again, it's okay to change. What's working for someone might not work for someone else. And what worked for 19-year-old Tammy, you know, doing all-nighters, packing all the orders herself, that's just not gonna work for me anymore. I think people loved me when I was working myself to the bone because it was admirable and it was entertaining. But now I'm trying to build a business that allows me to live a balanced life. And I'm really hopeful and excited for what's to come. So now we are currently in the 5th year of running my business. And the lesson I'm learning right now is to create through the growing pains. This is the year that I'm really trying new things. This is the first year where I haven't sold a single handmade item so far, and it's really strange and different than what I'm used to. With trying new things, for me, always comes this fear and anxiety, and over the years I've started supporting my family more and more financially, so the risk also just seems so much higher now that I'm out of college. But I just have to believe in myself as I once did 5 years ago. I have to tap into that same Tammy that was so delusional and so giddy to try something new. Through your journey as a business owner, your mental health will ebb and flow. It will be so good some days and so low on other days. It's okay to feel the lows, but you just have to pick yourself up again. At this point, I've taken a long break from sculpting orders for my shop in order to find myself. And I think I'm at a point now where maybe perhaps I could get back into sculpting, but maybe I don't have to. You know, I'm starting ceramics, which has been a really fun hobby for me, and it's something that I'm doing just for myself because I haven't done that in 5 years. I'm also taking this time to really learn from some of my favorite business owners and learn from them and see how they run their business. One thing I picked up on is that they all have separate Instagram accounts for themselves and their business. And for 5 years, it was just my account. So one thing I'm doing this year is making a brand new separate business account for Uncomfy, and my primary account will just be me. It's another fresh start, right? You know, that way I'll feel more at ease posting what I like, but then on my business account, that will be just for Uncomfy. And I'm really excited for that because it'll help me build a healthier relationship with my work. You know, I'm gonna start viewing my business as an actual business instead of it just being an extension of myself, if that makes sense. You know, that way if I get negative comments or negative emails, it's just work and it's not personal, because for so long it's felt so personal, and that's just not super healthy. Yes, you are the face of your business, but also your business is not you. It's really hard to find that distinction, but I believe it's possible. and yeah, make a separate business account. So those are 5 lessons that I've learned after 5 years of running my business. The official 5th year anniversary of Uncomfy will be in October, so we still have 6 months left. But once we hit that 5th year, that will be such a big milestone for me, and hopefully by then the coloring book will be out, the plushies will be out, and maybe there'll be more in the shop as well. I figured I'd also do a little Q&A at the end in case I missed anything in the bulk of this video. I have 25 minutes left on my memory card, so let's try to answer as many questions from you guys as possible. First one with the most likes was, how did you learn what to do regarding packaging and shipping? So depending on what you sell, I would Google, packaging for a hoodie, packaging for a t-shirt, or packaging for ceramics. Especially if your product is fragile, do a lot more research on that. If it doesn't show up on Google, I would YouTube it, small business ceramics packing orders. There's so many resources out there. So it's just a matter of doing some research. And then with shipping, whether it's Etsy or Shopify, you can purchase USPS shipping labels through them at a major discount. Do not purchase them directly at the post office. It will cost you an arm and a leg. So definitely purchase through whatever site you're selling through. Another question is, how did you build up your social media? Did it take a long time? I guess I've been doing this for 5 years now, so that might be a short time, it might be a long time to you. For me, it's like 20% of my life that I've spent on Uncomfy, which is crazy. I think I was really lucky, first of all, that some of my videos went viral on TikTok and Instagram. I think one thing that really did help me propel my social media was doing commissions, doing things for other people, also answering their questions. I would do a lot of videos on the supplies that I was using or how to glaze polymer clay pieces. I would do a lot of educational content to give value to people. I look at the internet as in terms of what can I provide to someone? And if I can provide value to someone, if I can make someone's day a little better, then the odds of me selling something for my business is a little bit higher because people just want to support people. How did you reach your market audience/customers? Would love to have some tips on that. So the way that social media works now is that it's all about the algorithm. So if you make a good piece of content, you don't have to advertise it at all. The algorithm will find your audience for you. And the way that you do that is you identify in your head who you want your audience to be. If your video doesn't convey who your audience is, chances are the algorithm doesn't know either. So make your audience abundantly clear in your videos. You can do this in the hook, right? Say, hi, my name is blank. I make art for uncomfy people. Hi, my name is blank. I make art for gamers. Hi, my name is blank. My business is for coffee lovers. And that will hook your audience in. Melon Pan Hobbies asked, how did you find your art style? Your art style is really just the cultivation of your life experiences, your hobbies, and your interests. So for me, I like cute, kawaii things. I grew up watching cute, kawaii polymer clay artists. So naturally, my polymer clay art is an embodiment of that. My art, my characters are cute and colorful and round because that is what I gravitate to in every aspect of my life. I try to imbue warmth and peace and tranquility in my videos because that's just who I am as a person. I'm not a loud person at all. My voice really hurts just talking this much already. So I don't know, is it cheesy to just say be yourself, do what you like, and that's your style? I really don't try to focus on my style too much. Especially at the beginning, I just made what I liked. Sunkissed Clay Things asked, how do you deal with burnout? And girl, I've dealt with so much burnout. It's kind of embarrassing. The only way you can get over it is by taking a break. In the book, The Artist Way, she discusses that you need to fill your well. And most of us are burnt out because we are always expelling energy, always giving, but we really should be taking time to just touch grass, take a breather, take a yoga class, try a new craft, try something without recording it, without performing, I find that even a couple days worth of just doing nothing was so productive in the way that it healed me so that I could continue to work. What should I do if I'm posting consistently for over 2 years and I still struggle to get even one order per month? I feel unlucky. Okay, so I looked at this person's account and their art is so cute, and I see their face, but I don't really know their story. And I think especially in a space where like cute art, there's so much of it in this world, like the only thing that can differentiate you is your story. Like, how did you get into clay? Where are you from? I don't know any of these things. And if you just share the who, where, and why. Why do you make cute art? For me, I started polymer clay because it was a way to connect with my inner child. I'm someone that grew up really fast, and as an anxious person, I love to fiddle with things. I love to hold things. If not, I'm picking at my fingers. So that is why I started making desk friends, was because it was something that I could touch and to distract me from picking at my nails. And that was one of my videos that went viral on TikTok in the first place, was me explaining the why. Why do I make desk friends? I make them for people who are anxious like me. I think that was the last question I'll answer today, but I hope this video was nice for you to watch, and I appreciate you guys so much. And if you are on your creative journey, good luck. I believe in you. Okay, bye, love you.
Rusty red on her shoulder, I was cleaning her shoe when it clicked on the trot over in the bright morning dew. We brushed and we braided dandelions and shoes.